Hey guys, welcome in. It's time to start with Bollox Talks and Tangents. We got a great show. I got Lenny in the studio here with me in Studio B. And we got Blake Blevins pushing all the buttons in the back. The legendary, the one and only Blake Blevins in the booth.
Double B.
BB. All right. We got a good show today.
I had fun doing this.
Excited about the show. Hey, I found out some fun things. I did a little, a little childhood memory stuff.
Well, for me, for sure.
You for sure. And we kind of had two different versions of it.
Yep.
Both very creepy and dirty. But we're talking about
only under the boardwalk, and we'll talk about that off air.
We're talking Boardwalk and Piers. Boardwalk and Piers. I had a little Peter Brady moment right there.
There you go.
But it should be a fun show out there. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure you hit that share button if you're out there in YouTube land or if you're in Facebook land or just on the app. We appreciate you guys joining us. So, hey, how was your week?
Week was not bad. It was
Okay.
pretty good. We have friends in town.
Okay.
You had the privilege of meeting them Tuesday night at Trivia, where we crashed and burned.
Yeah. Can't believe you drug him down like that.
Well, yeah, it's all on me, as it usually is. But nope. Hey, we got Ohio players. That's all I'm saying. Freddie came up with it. It was good to have a guest in the house.
Yes.
Because he came up with the Ohio players.
Yeah, the name that artist.
that was a deep cut.
Not many people got that.
Nope, that was a deep cut.
That one.
Yep.
Blake, how was your week, buddy?
It was very well, but sometime earlier in the start of the week, I started to sound like a Lenny with a little bit of a stuffy nose and a coffee throat.
Sir Hack-a-Lot.
Hopefully you don't have it forever like I do.
Yes. Well, and Lenny, I've always said you have a little bit of a Buddy Hackett look to you.
I got to lose some weight. I got to lose some weight.
So it might be going back a little too far with the Buddy Hackett.
Well, not for me.
No.
I mean, one of the funniest things I've ever seen was he took over for they reprised You Bet Your Life with Buddy Hackett doing the Groucho Marx thing.
Yeah.
Oh, was he funny? Because it didn't last long because they couldn't control him.
Well, here's two guys I really enjoyed. I always enjoyed Buddy Hackett, and I always enjoyed Maury Amsterdam.
Maury Amsterdam, sure.
Yeah. But I got the two of them confused.
One's half the size.
Yeah. Well, I got the two of them confused because they had a lot of the same motions in how they delivered their jokes.
Yep.
So, Blake, you have any idea of these two people we're talking about?
No.
That was a question out loud, and you're not talking into the microphone.
That was a no. I said no. Did you not hear?
No,
we did not hear you say no.
I had they could hear me. The audience can hear me.
I know we spent 4 years of college money with you and I working together, getting your college paid for. But the microphone has to be,
It
on.
was in my face. The audience can hear me.
He's in charge of our audio visual.
The audience can hear me.
Yeah, okay.
The audience couldn't hear me. It's just a Bluetooth, just a speaker in there. It's just awful, and it has a 1 second delay.
Has a 1 second delay. Okay. All right.
He ruminated on that answer quite some time, I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I don't see
So
it.
anyway, look up Buddy Hackett. He's a very funny man.
Buddy Hackett and Maury Amsterdam.
And Maury Amsterdam. Yeah. Maury Amsterdam was the sidekick on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
he and Rose.
Yep. But we got a fun show, and we usually start off with talking about our sponsors. Tonight we're drinking one of our sponsors' drinks from Citygate Spirits, the peanut butter whiskey.
And don't be confused at home. It's creamy, not chunky. It's important to note.
But it will make you nuts if you drink too much of it. So
teed that one up, didn't I?
Yeah, that was good. But I really want to try this over ice cream.
I'm thinking about mixing it into some brownies too.
Yeah. I think this could be, a really good, and it's a good sipping after dinner drink. But the crew over there at Citygate Spirits, they do an amazing job. If you haven't been to St. Augustine and taken the tour, get over there to Citygate Spirits. They have an amazing tasting tour. I really love the peach. Peach is still one of my favorites.
You don't have to get me started.
We talk about it a lot. But that's one of my favorite drinks from our local distillers here. But their tasting tour is second to none. And their sister company, I guess it should be their mother company,
Right,
which
exactly.
they started it.
From
and
whence
that
it
was
all
St.
came.
Augustine Distillery.
Yeah.
The bourbons and the new rum they have, the reserve rum they have, along with the Saint. It's the number one small distillery in the entire country.
Yep.
Award-winning distillery, St. Augustine Distilleries.
Right. And they're
All right.
talented. They're really talented with what they do there.
Yeah. All right. Meehan's Irish Pub, 3 bars in one. A lot of people out there have been there. You understand how amazing the service is there. Great food. They just do an amazing job over there. Reggie, we appreciate what you do for the community. And as an owner of a bar, I can't think of anyone else who does a better job of owning a bar. So we appreciate your support. You've been with us since the very beginning. Also been with us since the very beginning, Abare, Kresge and Associates. Best CPAs in town. They take care of our nonprofit. They take care of me. They take care of my businesses. And, Billy Abare over there, he's been my accountant for 2 decades and just a wonderful human being. And he's going to do you right. Give him a call. He will save you money. If you're doing your own taxes, stop. It is that time of year. Give them a call and let them help you out.
I think filing season just opened either yesterday or today, as a matter of fact. So get your paperwork.
All right. St. Augustine Pirate Museum, over 800 original artifacts. They moved up from Key West. Pat Croce brought the museum up here along with a lot of his artifacts. I don't know of a bigger pirate nerd than Pat. And he just, and in case you go, oh, that name sounds familiar. Yeah, he used to be one of the key owners of the 76ers.
Oh, really?
The Philadelphia
I didn't know that.
76ers.
Okay.
And he just created a business on top of business. He started as a physical therapy, a great story, but I don't know of a bigger pirate aficionado than there is in Pat Croce, and he's the creator of the St. Augustine Pirate Museum.
Fun place.
All right, this guy, I don't know. I'm going to let you talk about this guy. His name is Kaiser.
Kurt Voldheim.
Yes. Kaiser's Deli and Market. Tell the nice people about how wonderful.
You want a good
Kaiser's.
sandwich in this town, you go to Kaiser's at 4 White Street, right on the bend on Anastasia Boulevard. On the right-hand side as you're going into town. On the left-hand side as you're leaving town, going to the beach.
Yes.
Stop in, grab a sandwich, grab a beer. He just brought in a whole new bunch of beers too. He's got a great curated selection of international beers. It's a beer for every taste, and he knows his stuff. I mean, he was the bar manager at Meehan's for years.
Yes.
So he knows what he's talking about when it comes to beer, and it's the best pastrami in town, and you're not going to go away hungry.
All right, this next company, Coquina Coast Realty. If you're looking for any real estate needs, these are the guys you need to call. Actually, it's me. You need to call me, and my number is 904-669-7901. That's 904-669-7901. Commercial, residential, any of those things. If you just want to talk about possibly getting into the real estate world, give me a call. That's free to do, and I'll be talking to you soon. All right. Word origins.
Okay.
I'm going to let you go first on this. What is your word origin of the day?
Well,
and what we do is we talk about a word and how it came to be and how it worked its way through history and the different changes of it.
Well, this one's not as old as some of the ones that we've done in the past. This one only came about in the 1890s. And being that we're talking about boardwalks and piers, which are adjacent to beaches as a rule.
Yes,
I went with a cabana.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and it's very simply, it's not a big deal, but a cabana is an open structure designed to protect from the sun, usually by a pool or a beach. Some beach clubs, you can put little kitchenettes in there, and people will spend weekends in their beach club cabanas. Mm-hmm. And now, if you're ritzy and you go to a Vegas pool, you can rent a cabana. Mm-hmm. And then they mist you, and they bring you drinks and luxuriate you.
Feed you grapes by hand.
For a mere $300 for your cabana.
Okay.
Yeah.
I renting a cabana in Vegas was always fun in the summertime.
Yep. Well, it's the only way to get a seat.
And people watch.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Cabana.
And that comes from the Spanish word for hut.
Hut.
And it started in usage, I don't know if I mentioned, in the 1890s.
Okay. Yeah, you said it was fairly new.
Yeah.
So the year you graduated high school.
Exactly.
So
good honors.
My word's a little older. My word is arcade. All right, an arcade comes from the Latin word arcus. All right? And a lot of people think of an arcade as a game room. We're talking about boardwalks. Mm-hmm. And there was a great arcade at the boardwalk I always went to. But it has to do with arcs and passageways. Mm-hmm. And the original arcades with pinball and some of the other things, they were usually in very tight passageways or galleries, and they had arcs to it, and that's how what we know as an arcade today is video games and stuff like that. Right. It has to do with the way, the structure of how they set those up originally, and there was archways that you walked through, mm-hmm. and the way that the games were lined up side by side. So arc became a passageway, and then the passageway is they kind of funneled you in with these games side by side.
I think it's in Milan. There's a very old and very well established, and I don't know if they're calling it the Galleria or an arcade that is beautiful in Milan as you're going through, and it brings you to, all the little kiosks are off to the side and all the little shops are off to the side. So that's pretty groovy there. Yeah, I like the pinball arcades. Yeah. Which will come into the fact that, the Long Beach Boardwalk, right?
Yeah.
Had an arcade. That's
going to take us straight to, the arcade's going to take us straight to the boardwalks. Because you grew up near Atlantic City.
I did.
All right, and which is the home of these boardwalks.
No, I grew up in Long Beach.
Yeah, but you grew up near Atlantic. You're way closer to me than you were.
Yeah.
So you're getting a phone call. I'm
not going to answer my phone now. I'm very busy. I'm working.
Who doesn't know you're doing Bollox right
Answer
now?
it on air, Lenny. Answer it on air. Put it up to the microphone.
It's healthcare. They're going to tell me I either have an appointment or I don't have an appointment.
No, we're not going to do that. HIPAA rules restrict us from doing that.
Oh, dang it.
Yeah, I was hoping it was a spam call.
That would have been fine.
So if you get a spam call ever during our show, you have to allow me to answer.
There you go. Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay?
Sure.
Because I'm going to say, how do you know the deceased? You've called a crime scene.
Right, exactly. Yes. Sergeant Fuller of the Brush Company.
Did you have sexual contact with Lenny?
Right.
Those type of questions are going to be asked. All right. So the originator, which I don't know, at what age did you first go to Atlantic City?
First go to Atlantic City after we stopped going to Mohegan Sun to gamble because 95 North was a pain in the balls and taking the Garden State Parkway.
Okay, stop. Dennis Miller. There's a lot of Floridians that watch this show.
Okay,
all right.
Mohegan Sun is a Connecticut is a.
Thank you for that. Okay,
what? The Floridians know what 95 is, and they know what a hellhole driving on 95 is.
95 is. But okay, we're going Mohegan Sun and the flux capacitor and all that.
All right. Mohegan Sun is a beautiful,
got some explaining to do.
Beautiful casino in Connecticut. And it used to be an easy ride, but then 95, they started doing construction, as we all feel down here, that they keep doing construction on 95. And it got to be a pain in the neck to drive up there. So we made friends with a casino host in Atlantic City and got treated very well there. So it's a 2.5-hour drive, 2-hour drive.
2.5-hour drive.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So once you get past Staten Island, you're golden.
Mohegan Sun was not a boardwalk. It was a casino.
No. It was freestanding inland. No.
Okay.
There's and now in Atlantic City, there's still 9 casinos in Atlantic City, but all of them are not on the boardwalk.
Okay.
There's only 5 or 6 on the boardwalk, and then there's a couple in the marina.
So when did Trump make it into Atlantic City?
Earlier than I thought. He was there in the late 80s, early 90s, maybe. Might even been a little bit earlier than that, 84 possibly. And then he crapped out. Yeah, I was surprised. Yeah. He had a casino there for 30 years before he went bankrupt. In a casino. How do you do that?
Some people say it's because he left his wife in charge.
Oh, got to be more specific. Which one?
Number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, number 1.
Ivana.
Yeah. Ivanka's mommy.
Right.
Ivana.
Right.
So I think she's passed.
She has. May she rest in peace.
Yes. I think she has passed. So Atlantic City was your first introduction to a boardwalk.
No.
Correct?
No, I grew up on a boardwalk.
You grew up on a boardwalk. Where was it?
Long Beach.
There was a boardwalk.
You're not going to do very well on the quiz, my handsome friend. You're not even going to come close to passing this test.
Long Beach has a boardwalk that
Pieces of it in my hand.
I thought that was Atlantic City.
No.
Oh,
Right.
Okay. Let's hold it. Here, let me have that.
Okay.
I'll let you talk about it. I'm going to hold it.
That's a piece of the Long Beach boardwalk that got.
Did you paint this yourself?
No, that was a gift from my friend Billy Ligori. And that was one of the pieces of the boardwalk when it got blowed up by Superstorm Sandy. And Blake has some pictures of what was left of the boardwalk and the pile of the boardwalk itself.
All right.
So he'll put that up.
I'm going to read the back.
So is this actually a current photo here, or?
That looks like the current one. That's not the broken one.
All right. I want to read the back because it's a very, if you're okay with it, Lenny.
You go ahead.
Okay. I'm not going to get in trouble with Julie, right?
We'll find out when I get home. If I get hit, okay. You'll know.
May Long Beach sand be forever in your shoes. All right, and that's to Lenny and Julie. And by the way, Julie is Lenny's much, much better half. All right, and this is original from the Long Beach Boardwalk, Sandy, on October 29th, 2012. And it says, Civitas ad Mare.
Civitas ad Mare, City by the Sea.
City by the Sea. And it says from BL from LB.
Billy Ligori.
Yeah.
My man.
Yeah. So it's a really nice job.
Yep. And that's an original piece of the Long Beach Boardwalk, which was not the original boardwalk because it got rebuilt during the WPA, Franklin Roosevelt. Then it got blown up in 2012, and it was back up and open by 2013 with a lot of federal money.
All right. So I need you to tell me. It says, I Heart Long Beach, New York, LBNY. Mm-hmm. What does 11561 mean?
Let me see that.
Right there.
Oh, 11561. That's the zip code.
That's a zip code.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And it says 1,005 miles to St. Augustine.
From Long Beach.
There you go.
Yep.
That is very cool.
Yep. So, Blake, do you have the picture of the pile of what was left of the boardwalk? There's a pile of all the sand they took out of the city. Is that the pile of wood? Okay, so that's a pile of the planks from the boardwalk that got piled up, and people went in. Billy Ligori has a bar in his backyard. I hope I'm not ratting you out, Billy. I think statute of limitations is expired.
It should be fine.
Yeah,
it's 12 years.
But he took a bunch of the broken wood that was all piled up there, built himself a backyard bar out of it. It's beautiful.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Now,
and made gifts.
And it says Roosevelt here and Neptune here. I'm assuming those are ramps?
Those are boulevards where they're beaches.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the beaches, those roads take you to the beach.
Correct.
Okay.
It's Long Beach. It's like everything ends at the beach. You keep going, and you end up, if you're going south, you're going to hit the beach and then the ocean because we're on an island.
This has your name in the middle, and it looks like Mount Remo.
Yes, well.
So I don't know. If it looks like a little bit like a little pile of poo.
It's not steaming.
Well.
Oh,
It looks like a little pile of poo.
It's a sand dune with a lifeguard chair on top of it.
In the words of Larry David, it looks like a pile of poo.
Still never watched that show.
What?
Yeah.
How?
I don't need to see somebody else cranky. I'm cranky.
How is a Jewish man not seen that show?
I live it.
Oh my gosh, you do live it.
It's like Seinfeld. I don't need cranky people around me. I don't need to be encouraged.
I so can see you doing the chat and cut. Chat and cut, completely invented by Larry David. And
Thank you, Billy Ligori.
Have you ever done the chat and cut? Do you know what a chat and cut is?
I may have. I don't know if I did it intentionally.
A chat and cut is when there's a long line. You see someone you may or may not know.
Yeah, there you go.
And you step up and you start talking to them.
You look like you belong.
And then you stand in that same spot to avoid an entire line. I can see you chat and cutting.
Yeah, I'm a little bit more fair-minded than that.
You're a nice dude.
So
you're a guy.
However, I mean, I'm not. It's not beneath me. I wouldn't say that.
You're the kind of guy who gets out of the shower to pee. You're that kind of guy.
No, that's Reggie.
Oh, Reggie's that nice.
That's Reggie, not me. Yeah, no, I'm not that nice.
Okay, all right. That's the ultimate nice.
Right.
So, like, if you get out of the shower to pee, you're ultimate nice. What?
Yeah, sure.
You don't get out of the shower to pee. You're not that nice. You're a super nice guy, Blake, but I don't think you get out of the shower.
Oh, no. Hell no.
No.
It's much easier.
Yeah. No.
There's a drain and it rinses.
Yeah, just
It's efficient.
It goes down.
aim it straight down.
Right.
Aim it straight down.
Right.
Yeah.
So, no.
Sometimes it
Just do it at
doesn't.
the beginning of your shower, not at the end of your shower.
I'm not that guy.
Just gotta make sure you spray the floor around if it's a flat shower.
There should never be a flat shower. Who has a flat shower? Like, that is not up to code to have a flat shower. If you had a flat shower, you would end up having
A lot of water on the floor.
Yeah, a lot of water.
And pee, apparently.
Yeah, and now urine.
Right.
Now we've made it uncomfortable. You made me say that word. By the way, it's one of the grossest words.
Urine?
Yeah, I'd rather say the word shit.
What if I
over
said?
urine.
What if I said you're in charge of something?
You're in charge of something. I don't like that either. I don't want to
You
be.
want to be in charge of anything?
I don't want to be in charge. And,
Okay.
and there's foods I don't like, and I think Carlin did a skit on this, like yogurt.
Yeah.
It already sounds like it's been eaten once.
Right.
No one wants yogurt.
What about moist?
Moist is a word that just makes people uncomfortable,
And I'm not sure why.
and it makes me happy. I'm
Yeah,
not lying.
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. It's
What about moist urine?
it's
Okay, now
redundant.
you made it weird.
That's just
Now-
redundant.
Now you made it weird.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
this is, I don't know. You know.
Well, we turned his microphone on.
Well, we can't turn it off.
No, he's in charge. He can turn ours off.
Don't worry, Lenny. I already made that stress enough already. Already enough today. I already made his left eye bloodshot.
Oh yeah, I got popped a blood vessel.
I saw that. I was going to mention that to you off the air. I didn't want to embarrass you and get medical. I didn't want somebody going WebMD while we're on the air.
It's the stress of life.
Okay.
That's what happens. So, all right, we're talking boardwalks. The number one and boardwalk, whenever you talk about, is Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me your best and worst experience at Atlantic City? Because Atlantic City actually opened on a great day.
Said
It opened on
immodestly.
June 26th, my birthday, in 1870. Ironically, the exact same year I was born.
And you look great. You look great.
Oh, you're too kind.
Yeah.
You're too kind. All right, so your best experience.
Won a lot of money.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right there on the boardwalk.
Yeah, we went to AC. We only went to AC to gamble.
That's the only reason you went there.
Yeah, why else would you go to Atlantic City? I have a beach down the end of my
Never been.
block.
Never been.
You know, it's like, you know, all those crazy people that live in Long Beach and go out to the Hamptons. We've got a beautiful beach on our corner, a gorgeous ocean, and you can go home to pee if you had to.
What's your well in the shower
Or the ocean.
Yeah. Yeah. People that don't pee in the ocean.
I don't understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's. Yeah. What was it? W.C. Fields. He doesn't drink water.
Right, because fish pee in it.
No, fish fuck in it.
Uh-huh.
So you left to go gamble at Atlantic City.
Correct.
Atlantic City was the start of it. Did you ever ride any of the roller coasters or anything like that?
Not in Atlantic City. Coney Island,
Okay.
but not in Atlantic City.
Which boardwalk sticks out in your mind? Like, for me, it's Daytona. Daytona was 27 miles from my house. It was probably less than that from my house. So Daytona was my boardwalk. And a lot of times they advertised Daytona as the boardwalk of the South, the Atlantic City of the South.
Okay.
And there was a big controversy.
Just as seedy.
There was a big controversy in the late 30s when the band shell was built in Daytona because it didn't have boards. They were going to call it a broadwalk.
Which would be better because it's not a boardwalk if it's made out of concrete.
Yes, and Blake just flashed up, and I missed it when he flashed it up. And there's the band shell. He flashed up the gondola.
You're high on that gondola. Yeah,
I can tell you right now, it was one of the cool things of my childhood.
I can understand that.
Is riding the gondola over the pier, out over the water, and back. Now that I think about it, it's probably one of the most dangerous things I've ever done in my life.
And you didn't try hard enough.
No, believe me. I'm really happy. And my friends, if they're out there watching from the world I grew up in, I'm very happy there were no iPhones in the world I grew up in.
Yeah, but we'll say though, but at least thankfully as a family we got to experience a much more safer version of it, but also a much more expensive version of it. The gondolas at Walt Disney, because those were awesome.
Right.
Yeah, the gondolas at Walt Disney, they added in later, and they go from park to park, which is amazing. But the gondolas at Daytona. They go over the pier, you float over the pier, over the water, and then back. When I was growing up, and I think they're much, much better now, they broke down about every 18 minutes.
Yeah.
So you'd be sitting in that gondola with your feet dangling, and if anybody who grew up in this area, they understand what I'm talking about. But at your boardwalk, did you have any rides that you rode in Atlantic City or anything along those lines?
You got to get off of Atlantic City, man. We got nothing to do with Atlantic City. I got a boardwalk in Long Beach, and we had rides. We had an amusement park.
You had rides there?
We had rides. We had games. We had everything.
But did you have a gondola?
We didn't have a gondola. We had a salt and pepper shaker.
Okay. What does that mean?
That's a big arm that's got a capsule on either end. And as it rotates like that, it rotates like that. And it spins you around this way and rotates you that way.
Vomit on the way down.
Pretty much.
Oh,
yeah, it was a big ride. And there were bumper cars, and there was little mini roller coasters. And then when you got off the boardwalk, there was the kiddie park with the boats that, are on a chain that go around in a little duck pond and things of that nature.
What's the ride at Long Beach? Because yours was Long Beach, mine was Daytona.
Correct.
What's the ride at Long Beach that was probably the most memorable ride to you?
Probably the salt and pepper shaker.
Salt and pepper shaker.
Yeah, oh yeah. And there was a whip too. There was a whip. There were the
the ride you're talking
the
about.
hanging chairs.
I think it was something bullet or silver bullet or something like that.
Yeah.
Because you sat in a little capsule that looked like bullets on either side.
Yeah.
And there was two sides to it.
Yep.
And I think it was called a silver bullet where I was at.
Okay.
And yeah, you could catch your own vomit on the way down.
Right. See, you were 27 miles from Daytona. I was 3/10 of a mile from our boardwalk in Beach.
3/10 of a mile.
3/10 of a mile. Walk to it.
Well,
every day.
You were big money.
Well, the town was, yeah. I mean, and our boardwalk was built in 1914, 2.2 miles long, which is great because everybody in town will ride their bicycles or jog on the boardwalk, and it's 2.2 miles one way, 2.2 miles the other way, and then depending on how far you lived, it's another half a mile to and from the boardwalk when you add them both up. So it's a nice little 5-mile run.
All right. So here's the way our boardwalk worked, and we're comparing Long Beach to Daytona.
And we're not really going to give Daytona boardwalk because it's cement.
Broad.
Thank you.
Broad walk.
Concrete. Sidewalk.
They didn't want to call it a broad walk because that was negative to women at the time. So they ended up officially calling it a boardwalk, even though there was no boards involved.
Right.
We had a clock tower. We had a band shell, which was a part of the WPA
that was
project.
That was built.
Which brings it back to St. Augustine. I don't know if you know this. There were 3 projects at the exact same time.
The Visitor and Convention Center, or the Visitors Information Center.
Visitor Information Center, made at Coquina.
Yep.
All right. The hotels at our pier, St. Augustine Pier.
Right, which was the City Hall, became the City Hall for a while. It became
City Hall. Now it's like the dance company and some other, the Cultural Council. And there was 2 of those.
Yeah.
Side by side on either side of the pier. And the band shell. And they were all a WPA project. And they were all made of Coquina, built in the exact same time in like the 1936 to 37 part of the New Deal.
Yeah.
For Roosevelt.
Which was brilliant, putting people back to work after the Depression.
It was, the entire time during the Depression. The Depression, World War II.
Didn't hurt.
Saved us.
It killed a lot of people, sadly.
It killed a lot of people, but it saved us from the Depression.
Right.
But that was my connection with the boardwalk was Daytona. You only were less than a half a mile from your boardwalk.
Yep. Skee ball, fascination.
Okay. At what point did skee ball come into play? Because I'm not saying you're ancient, but you're about 9 years older than me, 9 or 10 years older than me. Skee ball, I remember as part of the arcade. So we had an arcade, and then on the upper level above the arcade was our putt-putt golf.
Okay.
All right. And then you could go outside is where all the rides were. Unfortunately, Daytona had a bad accident in like 2017, 2018, and it took away their roller coaster.
Oh.
Did you guys have a roller coaster at Long
We had a
Beach?
little roller coaster, yeah.
Okay.
There was one there. It wasn't like the Cyclone in Coney Island.
Yeah.
Which is still there and still operating, believe it or not. That's a little clackety. I'll say clackety, not rickety.
Yeah.
Clackety. Yeah, and then, skee ball, from when you're a kid, you learn how to play. And you know what? And there's days I worry about me because you play skee ball.
Scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Your skee ball skills.
Well, there's two ways of looking at this.
Okay.
You can go straight up and work on your touch, or you got to bank it off of the sidewall and you can hit them.
No one does that.
Well,
if you're a skee ball player, you play it off the side.
Right, you bank it.
You play it in, and
yeah, and you just go clank, clank.
So I'm glad
clank,
you knew the difference.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I was going to call you out.
No, silly
on
boy.
your skee ball skills.
No, we've got a framed set of coupons from Mrs. Seidel's arcade. Mm-hmm. And Mrs. Seidel was, again, you didn't screw around with Mrs. Seidel. Little old lady behind the counter. And, when there was, you would get whatever you would get. And if there was any, like 1 or 2 points or coupons left over, you end up getting punks. You know what is a punk?
No.
It's compressed. It looks like an incense stick, except it's not flavored. And you would get a punk.
A punk?
A punk, yeah.
Okay.
For, like 2 punks for 1 coupon.
Oh, okay.
That was it. And then Fascination was a ball on a board game, and there was a grid with, let's say, 25 holes in it. Mm-hmm. And you would roll the ball. There's a piece of glass, so you have to roll it under the glass. And if it dropped in a straight line, and you got 5 in a row diagonal or straight across, you would win the game and you would get coupons. And that was Fascination. That was on the boardwalk as well. And then there was a pizza place. There was a Knish place that was fabulous. Knish.
There was no Knishes.
Oh, yeah. Knish, hot dogs, frozen custard at Kalen's. Cherry cheese.
You ever had a Knish?
No.
You've led a depraved life. Deprived life.
Yeah.
I've led the depraved one. You led the deprived one.
Look,
we'll
listen. If you want to blame anyone for it, look 90 degrees to your right.
That's hurtful.
I would think so. I think that's a little harsh.
It's hurtful.
It's a little harsh.
I feel like you called me a bad father.
No.
I feel like that's what he said.
And Knishes are good. And there's 2 types. There's the manufactured
anti-Knish.
Gallopin ones. And then there's
Gallopin ones?
Yeah, Galbian maybe?
Gallopin.
Yeah.
And if you say them all together, it sounds the same. Gallopin ones.
And those are good. Those are square knishes, or you can make your own knish, which is basically a knish for those of you scoring at home, is mashed potatoes with some onion in it, and then you put it in a pastry. So, and then you can bake them if you're home making them, or you can fry them if they're manufactured. And there was a crisis. There was one major knish making factory in either Hempstead or Brooklyn in New York, and it caught fire and they lost their main machine, and they were out of business for like 3 months.
Catastrophe.
There was a knish shortage in the country.
Catastrophe.
There was serious stuff.
Knish catastrophe.
Yeah. Say that 3 times fast.
Yeah.
You can't even say it one. Can't say that 1 time fast.
I can't say it more than it once that I did.
But there's a gentleman I know who has a very nice restaurant. He's up to 3 of them now on Long Island. And he would make sandwiches with knishes. You would split the knish, and you put your pastrami or your corned beef in there.
Splitting knishes?
Yeah, as opposed to splitting hairs, which is tough because the rabbits run so fast you can't. It's hard to catch them to split them.
I don't know if that's even possible.
Oh, but it's a delicious sandwich. It's like making a sandwich with mashed potatoes in it.
All right. So your Long Beach
boardwalk, 2.2 miles.
What was your when you got there? I assume you went as a child.
Sure.
10-year-old Lenny, when you got to Long Beach Boardwalk, what was the first thing you wanted to do?
Probably play skee ball.
Skee ball?
Yeah. At 10, yeah.
Let me tell you.
Now ask me at 16.
At 16, what do you want to do?
Well, we went under the boardwalk.
Ooh.
And we'll finish that story later.
Hopefully you had someone with you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, right. Absolutely.
Was that where you watched?
As a matter of fact, there were when I was growing up, there was a bar called the Continental and a couple others that were literally built under the boardwalk.
Okay.
So you could come at it from the street side or the beach side, and there was a window where you could get your cocktails under the boardwalk from the beach.
All right. That takes me to my next question, which Kathy and I believe Barbara Jean have talked about on the comments already. Mm-hmm. Who has the best version of the song Under the Boardwalk?
I forget the doo-wop group that did it, but I'm going with them.
Doo-wop group that did it.
Yeah. Who did the original? Blake?
Check up. Do a fact checking right now.
Under the boardwalk, down by the sea, under the boardwalk.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. Could that be Tuesday's next answer? I'll write it on my hand and
It
won't
might
wash.
be Tuesday's
I won't
next answer.
wash. I'll write it down.
So yeah, multiple. So the original version was done by the Drifters.
There you go.
Drifters,
That's
that's
exactly it.
it. That's 100%
Yep.
it.
There's also been official covers by Bette Midler,
Yep.
Sam and Dave, Tom Club, the Rolling
That's
Stones,
the percussions from the.
All the Rolling Stones
Yeah.
versions,
Yeah.
not terrible.
Billy Joe Royal, the Beach Boys,
Awkward.
Bruce Willis,
I think it's obligatory.
Bruce Willis? Oh. I don't want to talk.
Bad Boys Blue, John Mellencamp, and Lynn Anderson.
The Drifters.
The Drifters was the original, and that was it. Absolutely, that's the
Kathy's
go-to.
saying the Bette Midler version is better.
I'm not familiar with that one, Kathy.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look it up on Pandora or something.
Yeah.
Oh, and also the original song was like 489 on the Rolling Stones top 500 songs of all time.
489 just made it under the cut.
Made it in the
Okay,
cut.
snuck right in there.
Made it in the cut.
Do you want to guess which one's number one?
It's usually "Stairway to Heaven," but it could be a Beatles song.
I'm going to go with... I want to go with My Girl, but...
Oh, what was the topic?
The top 500 greatest songs ever by listed by Rolling
Oh yeah,
Stone.
okay, yeah. So
So
yeah,
you're going with who you...
I think it was
I'm going to go with Satisfaction.
I think it's "Stairway to Heaven" was up there.
I'm going to go with Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones.
This person did perform at the amphitheater. It was Respect, Aretha.
Aretha.
Oh, my
All
girl.
right. I'll take that.
I've kissed her on the
I'll
lips.
take that. All right.
Fight the Power by Public Enemy was number 2.
Excuse me.
What?
Who wrote this list? You're
What?
making this up.
Is that even real?
You're making this up.
You didn't just say that. Okay, I got to hear the top 5 now.
Okay.
All right, I can go with Respect being number
I'll
one.
believe Aretha, but after this,
I
they've
can
lost
tell you right now.
credibility.
And I have a beautiful Aretha story, and
All right.
I don't know if
All right.
you've heard
It's a Hey Ya by Outkast is number 10. Dreams by Fleetwood Mac is number 9.
I'll accept
Get
that.
Your Freak On by Missy Elliott is number 8.
Come on.
Strawberry Fields Forever is number 6.
I can go
7.
with
What's Going On by Marvin Gaye at 6.
I can go with
Okay.
that.
All right.
Smells Like Teen Spirit at 5.
Is that
Like a
Nirvana?
Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan at number 4.
Okay.
A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. And Fight the Power number 2 by Public Enemy. And Respect
would
by
like to
Aretha
know-
Franklin at number 1.
I would like to know the sample that they used for this.
Fight the Power. That just doesn't fit in
No.
at all.
And that was from the 2024 revision.
Satisfaction didn't make the top 5.
Right.
What'd you have as no?
I had "Stairway to Heaven" didn't make the top 10.
No, hold on here. So that was the 2024 revision. The original version that came out in 2004 had Satisfaction at number 2 and then Like a Rolling Stone at number 1.
Okay, at least my Satisfaction
All right.
made it on
All right.
some list.
Okay. I'll buy that.
Can't get no. All right, but my Aretha story. And have you heard the full Aretha story?
I think I have, but you can relay it to the kind people at home.
So Blake's heard the full Aretha story. So Aretha's playing at the amphitheater, and it's probably one of the best shows we've ever had at the amphitheater. Aretha has so many number one songs. She can't fit all her number one songs into one concert. All right, just to make it work. There's a 90-minute limit on concerts. Aretha actually calls Gabe, who's our backstage person at the time, who is now the GM
Right.
at the amphitheater now. And Gabe goes, I can't handle this. I need you to handle this for me. And what Aretha wanted is we had a check for $25,000 we were supposed to give to Aretha. All right. And she wanted, because it was the last show of her tour, and her birthday is the very next day. So it's the last show of her tour. She wants to pay her people in cash. She says, I need that $25,000 in cash in $100 bills. She calls the day of her show, or I'm not going on. All right? Panic sets in. Gabe's called me. Gabe's already panicking. We're like, okay, we'll figure this out. I'm very fortunate. Right before that happened, I had sold a house that we had. So I actually had $25,000 in cash in my account. Doesn't happen. It doesn't happen a lot. But I had $25,000 in cash in my account. So my solution was I'm calling around all the different banks to see who has $25,000 in cash. It's on a Friday. It's on a Friday, a payday Friday, where very few people don't carry cash in banks. So I finally find a bank, not my bank, that has $25,000 in $100 bills. So I have to go to my bank and write a cashier's check to myself to sign over to Aretha. All right? So I have to deposit her check to her into my bank, write a cashier's check to myself, and then I have to go to another bank to get $25,000 out in cash and $100 bills. So right now in our hallway, I have a picture of me and Aretha together. I have a picture of Aretha and a check on the back of it where she endorsed her check and I signed her check where I put it into my account. So I have her autograph above my autograph on the back of a check.
See, that's pretty great.
To make this happen, or she was not going on stage. At that point, when I left, it was still the highest grossing concert we had at the St. Augustine Amphitheater. And her best friend was traveling with her. And there's so many great Aretha stories. And she didn't, like, you had to tape over the air conditioning because she didn't want it to dry out her throat. So there's so many great Aretha stories with this. But the ultimate compliment to our venue is because I was able to pull off what she asked me to pull off. She only plays the song Respect, the number one song that he's talking about, if she respects the promoter, which I was the promoter at the time. She did 10 shows on that tour. She played Respect one time.
Wow.
And it was only at our amphitheater.
And she left 9 other concerts with people going, what the heck?
With no respect.
What the heck?
With zero respect.
Yeah.
And her best friend goes, this is the only time she's played it on this tour. And she actually came off her 2 encores. She went back and played Respect on the final one. And I had a birthday cake for her. I gave her a gift. And, I really took care of her. I mean, and she might be 5 foot tall.
Really?
And
she has a big presence.
That $25,000 that I gave her for her to pay her people, she counted out every $100 bill. She had a security guard. His name was Hilton, and he was with me when I got it from the bank. And we went back to her hotel room, and I'm standing on one side of her. He's standing on the other side of her. She's counting out every single one of them individually. She drops one. Hilton goes to drop down and pick it up, and she goes, and this is a Detroit City, probably a badass cop of the freaking world, who's her security guy, and he's been with her for 20 plus years. And she goes, I got that one, Hilton. And he stood right back up, and we left that $100 bill on the ground until she was done counting. She took those $25,000 in $100 bills and put them in her Louis Vuitton purse. When she got on stage, she was still carrying her Louis Vuitton purse. Put it on the piano when she played. At the end of the night, she picked up her Louis Vuitton, and she paid all her staff for that tour out of $100 bills.
That's great. And I know through a friend that she was a very, very lovely woman because she was living in the Hamptons toward the end of her life. And there's a woman who worked for me, managed my restaurants, who after I closed my restaurants, Josie did some private catering and ended up getting hooked up of doing some gigs for Aretha Franklin out in the Hamptons. And they became very, very close and very, very friendly. And she said couldn't say the nicest things about Aretha. She said what a lovely woman she was. Certainly to Josie.
My experience with her was she was a strong woman. She was really, really kind with me. And she did kiss me right on the lips when we left each other.
Very nice.
I was a married man. And she actually kissed me dead on the lips when we left. So
you didn't wash your lips for 3 weeks.
The Queen of Soul.
Right.
I have kissed the Queen of Soul on the lips.
And you got an autograph with yours to prove it.
Yeah, with her name and my name together.
That's great.
So
That's
Blake,
great.
It sits in our hallway still today, doesn't it?
It does, but they got knocked down though. So
It did get knocked down, and we have put it back up.
Okay.
And the shrine is still there.
Okay, because it
Yeah.
deserves
Yeah.
respect. Thank you.
yeah, but
I would try and spell it, but I'm dyslexic and screw that up.
yeah, but just like curiosity, with with during your time as a promoter at the amphitheater, like you obviously had to deal with like situations like that. Like do you remember like what was like the weirdest like artist rider that they had to follow? Like and it wasn't like Van Halen with the no green M&Ms.
No, there were several like that, and I can tell you right now, Snoop Dogg. When I met him, he was a wonderful human being, but his rider was the most ridiculous rider I ever saw. And a rider is what the artist sends to you that they want to have, like in their dressing room or in their space
Outside of the contract itself.
And he had so much ice cream.
Really?
He had to be completely stoned when he wrote his rider. It was all snack food. I mean, he had like 5-gallon ice cream barrels of different ice creams. I marked through them and I did that thing. But I'll tell you this. The one who got me on the rider the most was Art Garfunkel.
Really?
So Art Garfunkel knew that there was a particular razor that had been basically out of stock for 12 years. And he asked for this, and we looked high and low for this. High and low for this particular razor, and then we realized it doesn't exist. And he probably had us go on the wildest goose chase of all time. But Art Garfunkel, the great story about Art Garfunkel at the amphitheater was Senator McGovern, George McGovern.
Yeah.
George McGovern moved to St. Augustine. He's a huge music fan, and him and I became friends. And it was a really great friendship that we had. I took him to Art Garfunkel concert. Art Garfunkel, we played with the Jacksonville Orchestra. Jacksonville Orchestra is a union orchestra.
Okay.
They don't play under a certain degree. We're about 3 songs at the end of Art Garfunkel's set, and he is crushing it. He's playing in front of 3,500 people, which is a big crowd for him at this point of his career. And the French horn was the head of the union who was in the orchestra, and he calls the show 3 songs short because it dropped below the temperature of what the union had to play in. Art Garfunkel has not sang Bridge Over Troubled Waters yet, and the French horn guy calls it. So the head of the orchestra, like Garfunkel is crushing it. He's absolutely crushing the show. And this guy calls the show 3 songs early. He doesn't get to sing that song. Garfunkel is absolutely crazy and angry. And he is yelling at the conductor of the Jacksonville Orchestra.
On stage?
Right? No. Behind stage. But I have Senator McGovern with me waiting to talk to Garfunkel, which he hasn't talked to since 1972. This is about 2009 when this happens. But he's screaming at this guy, and he gets so mad, he takes off his wig and throws it at the conductor, and it sticks to his chest.
I guess it was hot.
So he's so mad. And literally, he turns around, and me and Senator McGovern are standing there, and he goes, immediately changes from the most angry human being into like Minnie Mouse.
Okay.
And goes, oh, Mr. McGovern, so glad you made it. And it completely changed his entire dynamic of it. But I saw Art Garfunkel take off his wig and stick it to the front of a conductor's chest.
That's pretty funny.
So that was one of my George McGovern.
Right. And Art Garfunkel story. It's a twofer.
So, So and Snoop Dogg, Barbara Jean said she'd love to meet Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg was a true gentleman, and his bodyguard probably had about, I would say, between $6,000 and $10,000 Armani suit on, and he was an absolute beast, but a gentle giant.
Now, at the time, was Snoop Dogg Snoop Lion at the time?
No, he was still Snoop Dogg at the time.
All right.
So he did the Crawfish Festival for me, and I think it was 2009.
And he has marketed himself into brilliance.
He's doing it right.
Yep.
He's doing it right.
Yep. There's something else that he's doing something else.
His time with the Olympics was amazing.
Yeah. He parlayed that for sure.
All right, well, we're talking about boardwalks. I don't know. We went off on a tangent that's crazy and ridiculous.
But that's part of the show.
All right.
Did I mention that they use elephants to carry the lumber to the Long Beach Boardwalk when they were building it in 1914?
Pachydermed it.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, it was sort of a publicity stunt, but even still.
Okay.
But a bunch of elephants to carry the lumber to the boardwalk.
If you're going to use an animal, use an elephant.
That's for sure.
And we almost got in a car accident with an elephant. Blake, you remember that?
Yeah, I think it was in Africa as well, wasn't it?
Oh, well, okay.
Yeah. We were coming back, and it was about dusk, and we were pretty much hauling ass because we stayed out longer than we should. And we're coming across this road as a bull elephant crosses right in front of us, and we slam on the brakes, and all of us fly forward. And we literally almost got in a car accident with an elephant. So, how old were you, Blake? 14?
It was 2017, so I was 16.
16.
Okay.
You ever get in a car accident with an elephant?
I have not.
Yeah. So we got that going.
I rode an elephant.
Did you?
Yeah.
I think Blake's rode an elephant.
Yeah.
You ride an elephant or a camel?
It was.
I think it was a camel.
In Palatka. Okay.
Somewhere, I don't know if I still have the picture. I might have lost it in a flood, but I may still have the picture. Tanya, who was in the Casino du Paris show at
Which
the Dune.
flood? Sandy?
Probably. Or there was one a couple years before that where it rained for 8 days in Long Beach. And the storm, where we are, we're on an island similar to Anastasia Island. So all the storm drains outfall into what would be the equivalent to the Intercoastal, which is Reynolds Channel, named after Senator William Reynolds, who built the city of Long Beach.
Okay.
But as the tide goes higher, there's no way for the water to get out, clapper valve or not. So everything backed up.
Valves.
Clapper valve, yeah. When they work good.
Screw
When you get a barnacle in there, they don't work for shit. But
how do we feel about those flappers and clappers, Blake, at our house?
Not good.
let that be your answer.
Yeah. King's Tide.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, it for 7 days straight, it rained and serious rain. So, people's basements started flooding. The west end of town, the sewers backed up, and this was like 4 days into it. It was horrible.
Were you on the board at the time?
Sorry?
Were you on the board at the time?
I may have been. I don't think so. I think it might have been. I might have been on the architectural review board or the zoning board, but I don't think I was on the city council when it happened. And it's possible because those things all sort of blurred after a while. But I go downstairs every day. Oh, my basement's dry. My basement's dry. On the seventh day, I went downstairs, and my cookbooks were floating. Oh. I lost 1,000 menus, 300 cookbooks, the majority of my baseball cards, more than I lost in Sandy.
Oh my gosh!
Sandy wasn't bad compared to that. I lost a tremendous comic books, baseball cards, 1,000 menus, cookbooks, and one prized possession, which was my recipe book from restaurant school, where you would get a set of recipes every day, and they did them on fax paper, like thermofax paper, which doesn't hold up after time anyway. It sort of fades as well.
Fade out. The purple's.
Yep.
It smells good when it comes off.
Right. Yeah. But I finally found the book, and it was literally fused together, and that was heart-wrenching.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. And that was before Sandy.
That was well before Sandy. Years before Sandy. Yeah.
Yeah. So we've been very fortunate. We complain about our house becoming an island because when the storms come in,
Right.
or the king's tides come in, the water comes all around us. But we've been very fortunate; it's never actually made it inside the house.
Okay.
It's warped the wood, and I've had to remove wood and redo the heart pine floors. But it's never made it into the house, and I hope it never does.
You know, that's what marveled me about the resilience of the businesses downtown on in St. Augustine, particularly on like Charlotte Street. You know, we had those three. You know, like one of the reasons we moved to St. Augustine is, first of all, it's not South Florida where all those people busted my horns when I had my restaurants, but. It had the lowest incidence of landfall storms on the East Coast that was equal to what Long Beach was. And there's an explanation for that. If you follow the peninsula of Florida, it carves in and then goes out to the Outer Banks, which is a much bigger target. Same thing, Long Island is sort of tucked in. You got Jersey protecting us, and then the east end of Long Island, which sort of sticks out because the fish that is Long Island is perpendicular to the East Coast. And you know, so we're looking, and it was, like, one storm occasionally, like never. And so we said, oh, good, St. Augustine will be fine. We get down here, and people are giving us some serious side-eye because 3 years in a row, we had, what was it? It was Matthew
and
Irma, and then there was another one after that.
Yeah, we've had Ian and we've had Nicole.
Right. But I marveled after Matthew and Irma, and Matthew was, Matthew was tough.
Matthew was the real deal.
Yeah, If you're outside the Hilton, there's a plaque on the Hilton by the driveway.
We just bought our house on Markland Place. And Markland Place, our house on Markland Place backs up to the Pumpkin Church. If you're a local, you know what I'm talking about with the Pumpkin Church. Yep. They have pumpkins that they buy in October, and the pumpkins were out. We had evacuated to a hotel, and we're watching live, on air, pumpkins floating down the street.
So much for that fundraiser.
And we thought, okay, we start redrawing our house all together. We're just like, okay, we're just going to live with this. We just bought this house, and fortunately, all we did was we lost our garage.
Okay.
But it didn't get in our house, and so we're like, okay, all right. So in Irma, the very next year, a year later, we have a neighbor, and we moved into the house. I've become friends with neighbors on either side. We have a neighbor who's 85 years old, and she refuses to leave. I try and talk her into going to the hotel with us that we're going. She wouldn't leave. So Blake and his mom and his brother go to the hotel. I stay behind at the house because I can't leave my 85-year-old neighbor.
Right.
During Matthew, I had the fire department go by and check on my neighbor, and they couldn't get to her a couple times, and it scared the hell out of me. So, and her house flooded both times. So I stayed during that storm. The most ridiculous thing I've ever done during a hurricane is we were building a tiny house in the back for Blake's brother. His name is Ty. Mm-hmm. So it's tiny, Tyny, tiny house for his brother his autism's much more severe than Blake's. Mm-hmm. So he has a place to live. I don't have insurance on the house yet, on the tiny house yet, because it's still under construction. The storm hits. I'm like, all right, I have to do what I have to do. There is a tree that is leaning. I go out in the middle of this storm, in the middle of Irma, and I prop up different things to hold this tree up. It saved the tree, but I was standing underneath the tree that would have absolutely crushed me.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the top 5 dumbest things. My friends that are watching out there, they know I've done some really stupid shit in my life, but that's probably one of the dumbest things I ever did. But I was able to save the tiny house by propping up. Luckily I had some 6x6s because it was still under construction, and was able to prop it and plant them. And I'm standing about 1.5 feet of water planting these 6x6s to hold up a huge water oak. And it saved the tiny house. But it's still one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life.
Which is good to be able to talk about it in retrospect.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, we'd be talking about you in retrospect.
It could have crushed me.
Yep.
So, all right, we're at the end of our show. we didn't get to talk about Venice Beach.
It's not a
You
boardwalk.
don't call Venice Beach a boardwalk.
It's a sidewalk.
Okay.
There need to be some parameters.
Okay.
There are words in the English language that have meanings. I go through this all the time. If you put a tomato in it, it's not a Caesar salad.
Okay.
So if it's a boardwalk, it's made out of boards. If it's made out of sides, it's a sidewalk.
So even if you use Caesar salad dressing
Correct?
and you put tomatoes on it, not a Caesar salad.
Not by definition or recipe.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, you can call it Troy's Caesar salad, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for restaurants that say, Casa Svengali's Caesar salad with mushrooms and cherry tomatoes, along with your romaine, croutons, and dressing.
I make a daddle chili that I feel is a very good daddle chili.
Yeah, I've only heard rumors about
but
that.
But I have beans
Okay.
in my daddle chili.
Okay.
But if you're from Texas,
Right.
and it has beans in it,
Right.
they don't call it chili.
Right.
So as a chef,
Okay.
does chili have beans or no beans?
Depends on where you come from. Because
No.
Okay.
Don't
To me, chili has beans, but you can have, chili con carne is chili with meat, so it's the seasonings and the meat.
Should have the meat and the beans.
Correct.
Should have both.
But there's there's a specific recipe for a Caesar salad. There are recipes for chili, but there's no one overriding singular recipe for chili. So it's all very definitional. Do you put in chocolate? Do you put in cinnamon? How do you make it? Do you use red beans? Do you use black beans? Do you add rice? So there you go.
Et tu, Brute. Damn it, Caesar. All right, guess what? We're at the end.
At least I didn't get stabbed.
Wow, he whistled at the end. We're at the end of Bollox Talks and Tangents. Appreciate you guys. If you would, please hit that share button. If you didn't like the show, hit the share button anyway. Send it to your enemies and torture them too. All right? If you loved it, make sure you share it to everybody.
Drink whiskey, go to Meehan's, buy houses, enjoy your pirate side.
Do the Bollox sandwich at Kaiser's.
Absolutely.
All those things. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.